So Travis and I got married in June 5th of 2015, and I knew right away that he would probably want to start a family before me because he pretty much robbed me from the cradle. We had decided on June of 2017 was when we were going to start. It's the 2-year mark. And I remember it was April, and I just told him, I was like, I think I'm just going to stop taking birth control. And he was like, what? And it's like the first 2 or 3 months, you're like, oh, my body's just adjusting, to not being on medication anymore. It'll be fine. And then month 3 through 6, you're like, this is it. It's really going to happen. And then you reach 6 months and it's like, all right, it's okay. They say not to worry for like a year. Like it's fine. And about month 9, it's like, oh no, like we're creeping up to that 1-year mark. Why isn't this working? And so I remember I called my doctor about something totally unrelated, and she had told us, we don't do any testing, anything until a full year. And I called her around month 9 about something totally unrelated. But I did throw in there, we're trying to get pregnant, so I just want to be sure this is fine. This is normal. And her response was yes, but because of your age, I think we should start the initial testing for infertility issues. And initially I came back clear, his came back negative.
Yeah, it was really tough because all of a sudden it becomes like, she always talked about that she knew she was going to be mother and she knew she was going to be a great mother. And all of a sudden I'm the guy that she chose to marry, and I can't provide that.
We went ahead and we set up an appointment with a fertility clinic, a local one. She was like, well, you have some issues too, it sounds like. And she was like, with your combined issues, she was like, you have less than a 1% chance to get pregnant naturally. So we kind of battled what we were going to do, and we just felt like we needed to move on to IVF, that was our next step. And going into it, I had this whole plan made up.
And you're a planner.
And so we started off with 12, and at the very end, we ended up with 1 embryo. And so we were kind of, it was a pretty hard blow.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like infertility, the entire process is a roller coaster. You go through these highs and lows.
So we met with our doctor again, and we decided she really wanted to put in 2 embryos. Just you have a 20% chance with 1, 50% chance, 60% chance with 2. So she was like, I would recommend doing another round. So we did. We adjusted my medications and had worse results. We ended up with only 2 eggs that cycle and 0 embryos at the end. So we kept thinking, 3rd time's a charm. We're going to do it the 3rd time. And we went in, it was July of 2019, and we ended up doing it. We had pretty poor results again, but we ended up with 1 embryo, which in and of itself, again, was kind of a miracle. And we felt like God was showing up. We put in the 2 embryos that we had, and we just both felt very confident that we were going to get pregnant. Like we just knew. We've been through all this. It's been 2.5 years of trying. We've spent thousands of dollars, done all these hormones. I've put my body through pretty much hell through all these medications. Like we know we're going to get pregnant. I can remember so they put them in and you have a 10-day wait period before you go back in for blood results. So on Halloween morning, I went to get my blood work, and they said they would call me. And so I was at school when I got the call and left the classroom. And as soon as I answered, the nurse started talking. When I answered the phone, I knew right away it was negative. And I think it was the weight of 2.5 years, all this money, all the hormones, everything, and we were left with nothing.
Now you've spent all this money and you're just back to square one. When Justin has talked about, God brings you through these valleys, to glorify Him. I'm like, well, that sounds fantastic, but I don't need this. You know what I mean? And I understand 100% that that's selfish, but in the moment you're like, it's so easy to compare. And I talked earlier about how we're blessed in all these other ways, but we're like, well, why can't we be blessed here?
We put all of our faith in you. We put all of our trust in you. Every step of the way, we both have been positive throughout this whole thing, 2.5 years where we've been super positive. And we made this miracle so easy for you. We even had the embryos ready. All you had to do was just speak life into them, and you didn't do it.
We read the Bible, but in most cases we know how the story ends. And that the people living it don't have that. They don't have that for it. They don't know. So, if you read these stories and you read the story of Lazarus, that they didn't know that Jesus was going to raise Lazarus from the dead, right? So they were in that anger, but they still trusted Jesus that he was God, and you could do it. But you didn't, and I'm gonna be okay with that. We don't have the foresight of knowing what God's going to do. We just have to trust that it's right. We went through some quiet time, but God still said, look, I still have you. I still have what's best for you. Just continue to trust me, and it's going to work out the way it's supposed to be. And whether that is, embryo adoption, or it's natural birth, or it's not at all, we just know, because God's taking care of us every other way and every other time.